good?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. In 1957, I had been a member of the Players Club at UBC in Vancouver, taken a year off, as many Canadians do, to go to England and honor the motherland, and came back, and there were some new people in the Players Club, one of whom was David Bromwich. I didn't know him, but I was intrigued. He had that gorgeous accent. He seemed way older. He's only 3 years older than I am, but somehow he never seemed young. Every year, the Players Club at UBC picked a play that was our spring play that we would perform for the university and then take it on tour throughout the province. It was a big deal because, we'd go all through British Columbia, which was, TV had just come, for heaven's sakes. So we had a play committee made up of Pam and Ken, two people who were in all the plays. And they read the plays and chose a Canadian play called Nobody Waved Goodbye. And they presented it to all of us, and we were quite distressed. We couldn't say out loud why we were distressed, but we were. Now, you have to remember two things. One, we're Canadian. Two, it's 1957. So we were not direct. Snide, critical, mean, but no direct confrontation. Everyone had their say. Everyone's kind of okay, maybe it's okay. And then David rose. He said, well, I would like, and if he were here, he could coach me on the accent. Oh, I won't even try. He said, well, it's common knowledge that when a play committee chooses the play, they will have parts for themselves. Of course. However, usually they offer parts to other people as well. Needless to say, that was not the play that was chosen, and we went on tour. I was the chaperone. I think I was 22, David was 25, and he was in it, and we just had this amazing trip with a different play.
Good afternoon. If you can't hear me, anyone not hear me?
Close to your mouth.
Closer to my mouth?
There you go.
Okay, fine. I'm just going to be talking very quickly about David. I'll perhaps sound a little negative about him, but I don't really, you'll hear it all through. When I was in grade 11, we were studying Shelley, and I remember words like, I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. Well, at that age, I couldn't, as I say now, grok that at all. I kind of imagined Shelley looked like Gainsborough's Blue Boy. And all poets looked like that, as a matter of fact. So, because Shelley and Gainsborough's Blue Boy was very exotic to me. So now I'm going to just talk a little bit about the exotic, but I'm going to switch out a little bit and say, people here are great admirers of David. I was neither an admirer nor anything. I would just go to parties and David would be there. He seemed very adult. He drank a lot. He did stuff that seemed very advanced to me in his life, but he was just another figure at a party, and that was it. I knew Caroline knew him well, and we'd talk a bit. But David had his own, and sorry, I've got to just stop just for a minute here. I'm not a romantic, and I never understand romantic transitions, but I'm going to make one. There are three figures who were sort of exotic to David. You may never have heard of them. Bobby T, Toby Oldfield, Ian Curry. Now, these figures were genuinely exotic to David. I never quite understood why. Bobby T looked like someone out of a Pinter play, or Bobby T looked like someone out of a Pinter play. Thank you. Toby Oldfield was a strange sort of English gentleman type, and Ian Curry I can't go into right now. A very complicated figure. I was not exotic in David's eye, and I just want to talk about this a little bit because later I got to know him better, and I would come up here and we would go to lunch together. And at these lunches, I would sit across from him and gabble as I'm gabbling right now. And David would just sort of, I think he just would be charming and very lovely and friendly and say something a little bit. But I'd leave the lunches thinking, I don't know why he bothers with me. And it wasn't too sad or anything very bad about it or anything. And I thought, I just don't quite get why we do this. And I never did actually get why we met, but for lunch, but we did. And I would go home afterwards, though, because he was always very generous. He'd always give me your copies of his book, Caroline and I would read the poems And I was just amazed. I was just amazed at the compression. A single line was so exhaustingly compressed. And I would just think, well, I guess I would kind of give myself a little warm pat. I guess David really is just sort of listening to what I'm saying, and he's got this whole thing going on in the background. There's a few little phrases that he's ripping off right now and fitting something into his mind, and that's it for me, and that's it. And David, bye, baby. I really did like you. Thank you.